Welcome to Sheet Director. We're excited to introduce our innovative Google Workspace add-on. Simplify data exchange between apps with Sheet Director, query data, post info from Sheets to apps, and keep everything in sync. In this video, we will see how Sheet Director can help you to automate the integration between Google Sheets and Zoho Invoice. Let's launch Sheet Director, and choose Zoho Invoice from the available list of applications. Now we need to authorize the application. For that, I will create a new connection here, and click on the Connect to Zoho Invoice button. Here again, select the Accept button. Now your authentication is completed successfully. Now go back to the application page. I will name the service as Zoho Invoice Query Service. I'll then choose the service named Query, which gets the data of selected objects from Zoho Invoice. I'll choose Business Value and the Invoices object. And then select the required fields from the fields list. We can also apply the filters by choosing the required conditions. For now, I am not applying any filters. We also have a sort by option. I want to sort the results by customer name in ascending order. So I will select customer name as the field and ascending as the operator. Additionally, I'll also set the max results to 25, limiting the invoices data to 25. For the destination settings, I'll select the Query Invoices Sheet tab to present all the values from the Zoho invoice. By default, it begins from cell A1. Also, we have the option to create a new sheet by clicking on the plus icon, and turn on or off the Include Header and Clear Sheet before getting the data. I will proceed to execute by clicking on the Execute button. Upon successful execution, we can see that the selected fields from the list are effectively brought from the Zoho invoice and seamlessly presented within the selected sheet. Also, invoice items are queried and presented in Next Sheet. Now, let's look at how to create invoices in the Zoho invoice from Google Sheets. Now, let's make another service and name it the Zoho Invoice Post Service to create invoices from the sheet. I will choose the Post service and select Business Value. Also, I will select a specific entity from the list. At this point, I have the choice to use an existing template or set up the process manually. For now, I'll choose Setup Manually. Here I have to select the source sheet, which has the data that used to be posted in Zoho Invoice. I will choose the existing sheet tab named Zoho Invoice Data. As mapping is supported at the post service, mapping aligns the fields between the source sheet and the Zoho invoice. So now it is asking for intelligent mapping. For now, I will choose No and map the fields manually. This mapping guides us on where to place the resulting information, in the status and result columns. In the sheet, you'll notice columns labeled Status and Result. These fields will provide you with the status of the posted records. If these fields are not there, they can be easily created by clicking on the plus button or choosing from the column drop-down. The mapping aligns the fields between the sheet and the Zoho invoice. Also, as we see in the source sheet, you should have the correct customer name. These customer names should exist in your Zoho invoice. Provide new invoice numbers. Also, provide items ID. To get the item ID, go to Zoho Invoice and select Items. In that, choose any item for which you want to create an invoice. Once you select item, in the URL address bar, you will see the ID of the item, which is mentioned after /items. Copy that ID and use it in the sheet. Also, use the same item name in the name column. Deleting a field mapping is as easy as clicking the delete icon above each mapped field, except for mandatory fields. Now, I will proceed to execute by clicking on the Execute button. Upon execution, the execution control panel will appear and tell us how many records are ready to post in the Zoho invoice. At this point, we have two options, Post Now and Close. I will click on Post Now, which will create the invoices in Zoho Invoice. After successful execution, each record will be updated individually in the status and result columns. And we can see all the posted records in Zoho Invoice. Let's prepare a new service named Zoho Invoice Sync Service. This synchronizes the invoices between Google Sheets and Zoho Invoice. I'll choose Synchronize as a service type. The Synchronize service allows users to automatically synchronize the data between Google Sheets and Zoho Invoice. I'll choose the Business Value and Invoices object from the list. And then select the necessary fields from the provided fields list. To ensure efficiency, I'll set the max results to 25, restricting to only 25 Zoho invoices. The synchronization process requires the synchronized keys to match rows in Google Sheets with corresponding data in Zoho Invoice. You must select the synchronized keys in the fields list. It is essential to note that these keys are mandatory for the synchronization to occur. When there is a conflict between different data in Google Sheets and Zoho Invoice for the same data, either side needs to be overwritten to maintain synchronization. You can opt for either Zoho Invoice wins or Google Sheet wins to choose which data to keep. In the Zoho Invoice wins scenario, the most recent data from Zoho Invoice will overwrite and update the corresponding invoices in Google Sheets. On the other hand, in the Google Sheet wins, the most recent data from Google Sheets will overwrite and update the corresponding data in Zoho Invoice. First, let me choose Google Sheet wins. Regarding the synchronization sheet, I will opt for the Sync Invoices sheet tab, and by default, it will begin from cell A1. After configuring the service, let us execute by clicking on the Execute button. The execution control panel will appear. If no records are found in the Google Sheets to synchronize, then the sheet director will get the invoices for us. A prompt will appear, posing the question, "Your Google Sheet seems to be empty. Do you want to get the records from Zoho Invoice first?" At this point, two options will be presented, Get Now or Close. You have to select the Get Now option, which will fetch the invoices from Zoho Invoice. Also, it will fetch invoice items in a separate sheet. As mapping is supported at Sync Service, mapping aligns the fields between the synchronization sheet and the Zoho Invoice. So now it is asking for intelligent mapping. For now, I will choose No and map the fields manually. To create a new mapping, you can simply click on the plus icon and select a field. If you already have Zoho Invoice data in Google Sheets, then you need to select or establish columns to display synchronization status and results. By clicking the plus symbol, I will add the status and result columns to the sheet and make any necessary updates to update the invoice. You can see the current item's description and quantity of one of the invoices in Zoho Invoice. For some of the invoices, I will update items description and quantity. Subsequently, I will click the Execute button. Upon successful execution, the execution control panel will reappear, with synchronization details. Number of new records found in Zoho Invoice. Total records that are ready to synchronize, from the Google Sheet. How many records will be updated in the Zoho Invoice from the total records? Additionally, I will be asked, are you okay to synchronize? This query is accompanied by two buttons, Sync Now and Close. I will opt for the Sync Now button. Throughout the execution process, each record will be updated individually within the Zoho Invoice. Upon successful update, the status column in Google Sheets will depict the status of the data. We can see the updated invoice in Zoho Invoice. Now, let me choose Zoho Invoice Wins. With the Zoho Invoice Wins option, recent data of Zoho Invoice will be updated in Google Sheets. I will clear both the status and result column values to get new updates of records. To test this, I will change the item's description and quantity of one of the invoice here. Now it should update the recent value from the Zoho Invoice. You can also sync the main sheet values. Regarding the synchronization sheet, I will keep the same Sync Invoice Sheet tab, and by default, it will begin from cell A1. After configuring the settings, let us execute by clicking on the Execute button. After executing, the execution control panel will appear and show all the information regarding the update. Subsequently, I will click on the Sync Now button to continue the synchronization. Throughout the successful execution process, each record will be updated individually. We can notice that the value on Google Sheets is replaced by the recent values from Zoho Invoice, irrespective of the update made on Google Sheets. Also, the new invoice data will be fetched from the Zoho Invoice if we have added new invoices to Zoho Invoice. Until this point, we observed the synchronization of Zoho invoices originating from cell A1. Now, let's modify the cell value to be 5. Select another empty sheet for testing and proceed with the synchronization process. If no records are found in the Google Sheets to synchronize, then the sheet director will get the invoice data for us. I will click the Get Now button to get the Zoho invoice data. If you already have Zoho invoice data in Google Sheets, then you need to establish the status and result columns for synchronization. And then proceed with the execution. Upon successful execution, the execution control panel will reappear, with the synchronization details. I will click on the Sync Now button to continue the synchronization. After successful synchronization, you can see the status of each record individually in Google Sheets. In this way, you can synchronize data from any part of your Google Sheets. Hence, utilizing Sheet Director makes it easy to query Zoho invoice information and display it in Google Sheets. Creating a new Zoho invoice from Google Sheets and finally keeping the information synchronized between Google Sheets and Zoho Invoice. With Sheet Director, you effortlessly harness the magic of Zoho Invoice. Seamlessly query, display, and transform your Zoho Invoice data right within Google Sheets. Experience the future of organization and data synergy with the Sheet Director. Thanks for watching the video.